Mitchells vs. the Machines is a new Sony Pictures animation film that is coming to us straight through Netflix because of obviously everything that's been going on. It was supposed to go to theaters at one point. It used to be called Connected at one point too, because I guess it's a catchier kind of title than the Mitchells vs. the Machines, but I prefer the title that they ultimately changed it back to when it was moved to Netflix. I think it's a much better title. This movie is about a family called the Mitchells. The oldest daughter, Katie, played by Abby Jacobson, is about to go to college film school, the place she's always dreamed of going, and she's really excited because she's pursuing her passions, but also because there is a bit of heated tension between her and her dad, Rick, played by Danny McBride. He doesn't really quite understand her. She's kind of over it and was really gung-ho to leave this family and be somewhere else for a while, be with her people, the other college mates. But to try to fix this, Rick decides to do a family road trip. Instead of shoving her on a plane, they decide to all take her to college together, which is already cringy enough, probably, if you are Katie, but also it gets even worse when a robot apocalypse happens because of a new AI software being updated into a bunch of robots. So that's exciting. They gotta survive the apocalypse and grow as a family. When the trailer first came out for this movie, back when it was called Connected, a lot of people were saying like, oh, is this just gonna be a boomer, get off your phone, you young kids kind of movie? And there are some people that are already starting to criticize the movie before it even came out. And I was always thinking like, I don't think it's going to be like that at all, because you have some really talented people behind this. First of all, you have Phil Lord and Chris Miller, obviously the producers of many great animated films and comedies to come out in the past couple years. But also you have Jeff Rowe and Michael Rianda, the writer and directors of this movie. They both worked together on a show called Gravity Falls. That's a cartoon that I love. It's one of my favorite shows ever, pretty much. And also Alex Hirsch, the creator of that show, is a story consultant on this. I was like, this is perfect. I already know I'm gonna love this movie. It seems like it's specifically geared towards me, to appeal to me, because it has all my favorite people working on it. So needless to say, I was obviously in love with this movie by the end of it. I really enjoyed the Mitchells vs. the Machines. Obviously, this is off the back of Lord and Miller's previous Lego movies and Spider-Verse, where obviously they show that they're not just gonna use just the typical Pixar-looking animation style that Disney or DreamWorks uses. This movie is actually very unique with the way they animate. First of all, just the actual character designs themselves look great. It's like you're looking at like a 2D sketch brought to life in CG. It's kind of weird to describe, but it looks fantastic. They all look great. Katie, out of all of them, is like the most well-designed. Like, she's like the most accurate looking like teen in a movie, or at least like an animated thing, I think I've seen in a while. Like, she looks great. And also there's like these little pop-ups that show up every once in a while, or like the frame will stop and like something like animated will flash up on the screen. And it's really interesting because that's what Katie would do in her home movies that she would make. She would put up all these things. So having it just appear throughout the movie was like, this is actually kind of perfect, and it fits really well with this movie sense of humor and its style as well, its personality. It has a personality. So there's some really dazzling images in this movie. The colors are all bright and wonderful to look at. There's some really thrilling action sequences that they conduct too that look wonderful, and the humor is spectacular. I can't remember the last time I was laughing as hard as I was in a movie, because there are plenty of jokes where I was really kind of like, my sides were splitting because I was laughing so hard. There are a couple jokes where I would say like, yeah, they probably weren't the best and they didn't really make me laugh, and maybe you could have cut those jokes out. But the thing is that they weren't groaners. They weren't things where I was sitting there and I was like, ugh, can this please just not be brought up in movies anymore? It was just like, oh, it was just a joke that they put in that didn't really work. Happens sometimes, you know, so that was really great. You know, most of the time I was laughing really hard, especially at Monchi, the family dog, which is just, it's the most goober, adorable looking animal I think I've ever seen in an animated movie. Monchi looks incredible, really is a king of kings, as Katie said. Oh my god. I also really like the way that they developed the Mitchell family, the way they wrote them. They're all obviously based off of tropes that we've seen before in other projects, but they're also brought down to a level where you can relate to them, you empathize, and you recognize people that you know in them. It's not like they're a specific trope, and because this is a comedy and it's a family film, we have to play it up to the point where it's weird that the characters themselves can't see what kind of joke they are, you know what I mean? These characters feel real, like they're funny and quirky, they have their quirks, but they feel like a real family. Like the little boy is like specifically interested in dinosaurs and is really hyperactive and really shy to talk to the next door neighbor girl. Like, yeah, that's perfect. The mom, Linda, played by Maya Rudolph, she's someone who is kind of stressed out by the fact that there's tension in the family. She's worried about everyone staying connected. She can't take a proper family picture because people are always arguing all the time, and she's jealous of this Posey family that are like the picture perfect family, which I found incredibly funny because they're played by Chrissy Teigen and John Legend, which I found hysterical. There's one part where they escape a robot attack. It's in the trailer, and I was laughing. Their voice work was hilarious. But that also works for Maya Rudolph's character, because you're like, yeah, I know the feeling of a family member whose keen ideas, like looking picture perfect and trying their best to get to that point, even if it's unnatural. So that character really worked for me. Like, Maya Rudolph also gets really funny near the end too. She has some really great lines and really great moments for that character. But obviously the main hook of this movie, the heart and soul, if you will, is the chemistry between Rick and Katie. Rick is obviously the dad, who is very outdoorsy, very kind of like a practical kind of guy. He's not into the internet at all, and he doesn't really understand Katie's desires for filmmaking or anything that she does in her movies. And Katie is somebody who really wants to connect with her dad, wants her dad to be proud of her, but unfortunately, because of the way he is, she feels kind of shut out. In any other animated movie or any other family movie, maybe just any other movie, these two characters would probably just sit on these feelings for so long, and then eventually there's an explosion, an outburst of emotion, like maybe near like the end of the second act leading into the beginning of the third, and that can sometimes be frustrating for a lot of people. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's done really well, but there are those times where you're like, oh, come on, just speak to each other. And that's exactly what this movie is about. That's why this dynamic worked for me, because there's already an explosion at the beginning, and that's the catalyst for the rest of the events of the movie. The dad sets up this road trip because he's like, I want to make amends with Katie, I want to connect with her, I want to actually communicate better with her. This whole movie is actually about communication and connecting with people on a human level and understanding them instead of just completely writing them off because of the slightest difference, or maybe just the slightest emotion that might not be entirely true. And this dynamic works really well. Danny McBride and Abby Jacobson play these characters so well. Danny McBride is obviously hysterical as the dad, but also Abby Jacobson, she's fantastic as Katie. I gotta say, like, Katie Mitchell is a character that I can't believe I'm saying this. I probably relate to her more than any other fictional character like this entire year, and maybe even last year or several years now. I don't know, honestly, because she's a wannabe filmmaker, wannabe writer, has a YouTube channel. This is a character that's like specifically geared towards me. There's so much here where I was like, I connect with this character so much. I think Abby Jacobson did a fantastic job playing her as well. It helps that those characters are fun enough on their own, but as soon as they get together and they start to focus more on what exactly the theme of the movie is, where the heart is lying, it really works, and it got me tearing up several times in the third act. Like, even a moment where usually an animated film will put in like a pop song, like, it works its way into the actual narrative, and you understand why it's important to the characters. So when this pop song starts playing for like a long period of time, I was still tearing up during it. I had like the biggest smile on my face. Like, the third act is like a roller coaster of reasons to cry, like either because I was so happy with the way the movie was playing out, with the way the characters were interacting, or I was actually crying because I was like actually feeling emotional towards certain revelations that are kind of made, certain beats made. And it was really great. Lord and Miller, like, they have a really great consistency of having these family movies that actually have like a really great emotional kind of arc to them, like whether it's the Lego movie or even Spider-Verse. Even like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs has a little bit of that. Like, it's not as much as even this movie but even in that movie, there's like a beating heart that I really love. I really love the passion behind the storytelling here. You can feel it. Also, I really enjoyed the villain. Olivia Colman plays the AI who has taken over these new advanced robots, and she's really funny here. I thought she did a really great job playing this character. You understand why she would want to take over the world and rid it of humans, because of the way Eric Andre's tech billionaire character treated her and just swapped her out for just the newest brand new technology that he made. It's really good satire, and Eric Andre is also really funny in this too. If I had to have any other issues with this movie other than what I mentioned already, some of the jokes don't work. I also thought that they could have gotten an actual kid to play Aaron, the younger boy, and it probably would have worked better. He's voiced now by Michael Rianda, the director and writer, which, you know, I'm not necessarily like against directors casting themselves in something, or even like adults playing a young kid. Like, it's been done many times before in animation history. An adult will come in to play a character, and it's like, normally it's pretty fine. Like Gravity Falls, even, for example, like Kristen Schaal and Jason Ritter as Dipper and Mabel are perfect. I don't care that they're adults playing kids. Like, they sound right for the characters. The models look good. The dialogue's great. Like, it's a combination of it works. In this movie, I didn't really think it worked because every time I heard him deliver a line, I just had this feeling of like, that's a grown man trying to do a child. And I don't know if it was like a sentimental reason, like this character reminds me of someone that only I can do the impression of, or this character is the most like me and this is what I would want to do with it. I don't know. It was just really distracting, and although I like the idea of that character, and I could get over it, like after a while I was like, okay, that's just the way he sounds. But it was something that every once in a while throughout the movie I was like, you know, you could have brought in like Jacob Tremblay to play this guy, and I think it would have worked a lot better, or just any other kid. But overall, this is a really great movie to watch on Netflix. I'm so happy that it came to Netflix. Even though it's a bummer I can't see it in theaters, because I think this totally would have been a great theatrical experience, I'm just glad it's out. It's a really great movie. It tugged at my heartstrings many a times. It's fantastic. The action is fun. The humor is great. The score by Mark Mothersbaugh, working with Lord and Miller again. Great stuff all around from him. I think he did a really great job. The voice acting is great. Character designs, everything about this movie pretty much like really appealed to me, and despite its issues, I really would recommend this to anyone, because it's not just a kids movie, it is a family film. It's a movie that anyone can get something out of, which is something I think Lord and Miller do really well. I'm so excited that they're branching, even if they're not like directing and writing, that they're branching out to these other projects and putting their names on something to help bring it into the spotlight a bit more. I'm really excited for their future endeavors, especially Mike Rianda and Jeff Rowe. If they work together or if they do other things, that's fine. Like, I think they're really great storytellers, and I really enjoyed this movie. I'm gonna give The Mitchells vs. the Machines an A-. This is a really great movie to watch on Netflix. If you have a family, watch it with them, and I'm pretty sure everyone will enjoy it. If you don't have a family, I think you might be able to still watch this and get something really special out of it. It's that good in my opinion. But if you've seen The Mitchells vs. the Machines, leave in the comments below what you thought of it, and as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.